So you guys, can I admit something? I had no idea that Lindsie Chrisley was related to Todd Chrisley, and I didn't realize that's the annoying human being that's on the podcast with Kale Lowry. I had no idea. Literally had no idea.
Hi beautiful people, welcome back. Hope everybody is doing fantastic wherever you are in this world. Happy Friday, you guys. We made it through another week. Thank you, Jesus. So you guys, hope everybody is doing well. If you guys have any plans for the weekend, let me know. My weekend is gonna be gardening. Going down to my son's place, help him do his yard work. I'm looking so forward to it, you guys. I can't explain to you guys how it has changed my life with my son being like just down the street from us. I mean, he may be like about an hour away, but for me it feels like down the street. So I am just the happiest person going. Just to have all my kids together again. It feels amazing. So anyway, you guys, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and the notification bell so you'll be notified each time I upload. Also, please go and subscribe to Mel Thompson's channel. I'm not forcing anybody. If you'd like to, it'll be amazing, and I thank you in advance. Also, Gabby Petito, it was her wish and dream to actually reach 1 million on her YouTube channel. I mean, it would be absolutely awesome to honor her and get her to 1 million on her YouTube channel. So I'll leave all those links in the description box. If you can just please go and subscribe to those channels, I will deeply appreciate it. Also, if you'd like to donate to the Gabby Petito Foundation, I will also leave that link down in the description box. Please don't take what I say as fact. Feel free to do your own research and come to your own conclusion. So you guys, if you have not heard by now, which I don't know if you live in under a rock, but Katie Joy has been served again. She is actually being sued by Todd Chrisley for defamation per se. So she was served, I don't know if it was Monday or Tuesday, via the hip pocket service. And she has 20 days to actually respond to this. So as Katie says, she feels this lawsuit is frivolous. I'm not going to get into this case. I'm no lawyer. I don't know how to read legal documents. So my go-to is Emily D. Baker, Nate the Lawyer, and Civil Law. Emily D. Baker did get the documents from Todd Chrisley. So who wants to guess how long it's going to take for Katie Joy to come after the Queen? It's like, I give it 2 weeks. So she does cover it, very unbiased. She is absolutely amazing. I'm going to direct you in her direction if you want to go and listen to her cover these court documents. Also, Uncivil, Nate the Lawyer, and Legal Bites, they did their own separate video discussing this lawsuit, which I think they made it quite comical. So I also leave the link to Nate's channel down in the description box, because at the end of the day, I do like different people's perspective on certain things. So it's up to you what you want to do, but I'll leave those links down in the description box. But you guys, after listening to Nate the Lawyer and Emily D. Baker, Uncivil and Legal Bites, can we have a conversation? Wat maak jy met die vrou? I don't seem to understand, and I'm not being disrespectful to anybody. Why do people come on and say, oh, I have the best lawyer, we're going to get this done, hype people up, and then according to Nate the Lawyer, Uncivil Law, and Legal Bites, it's basically a bullshit lawsuit, according to them. Not the exact words, but it's just my wording. So I highly suggest you guys go and watch either one, either Emily D. Baker or Uncivil, Nate, and Legal Bites. Up to you. Links will be in the description box, but let's keep it moving. So before we get into what stuck out to me personally in this lawsuit, I decided to actually, because my previous video, I showed you guys how she went on this spiral in her Instagram live and how she was professing her love for her friend Lindsay and all that. But prior to that, she was tweeting up a storm before all this came to pass. So obviously she knew this lawsuit was coming. So she basically was on her Twitter. She says, stand tall in your truth and never back down. And then she says, work hard and believe in the best. Let God handle the rest. And she says, you know, when someone tries to bully you into a corner through abusive harassment, you know the moment where you feel powerless. But then there is that person that steps in, takes control, and helps you out of the abusive situation. Be that friend. Okay. So this was Katie Joy's response later that evening on her Twitter in regard to the lawsuits, and the flexes keep coming. And Katie Joy, we know you got money, girl, especially after how you exploited poor Gabby Petito's death. So after everything went down with this lawsuit, and a day later, Lindsie Chrisley, this was Lindsie Chrisley's response. Not to coming to Katie's defense or anything, but this is what Lindsay says. Due to an overwhelming number of comments and messages, despite all commentary regarding me and potential involvement in any litigation, I am not suing or being sued by anyone. Any comment otherwise is mistaken. Still, not acknowledging, not claiming, not even a slither of, oh, she's my friend. So I decided to actually go back and look how this friendship started, where this friendship started. I'm not going to say I'm the original person that actually found this, because later on during the week, I found out that Pork Chop from Twitter, she actually also came out with this observation, okay? Now, before I get into that, in the lawsuit, for 2 years, Katie Joy Paulson has made a living by broadcasting defamatory falsehoods about Michael Todd Chrisley to her thousands of social media followers. She has repeated and embroidered malicious lies about Mr. Chrisley, star of USA's popular reality TV show, Chrisley Knows Best, in order to drive web traffic to her various social media platforms. While her campaign of defamation has ranged over a variety of topics, Ms. Paulson has played a key role in spreading and perpetuating a particular vicious fiction that Mr. Chrisley attempted to extort his own daughter by threatening to release a sex tape and nude photos of her unless she agreed to perjure herself in a criminal investigation. These allegations is equivocally false. Mr. Chrisley never made such a threat, nor to Mr. Chrisley's knowledge does a sex tape exist. Now, when it came to that, and you guys, Katie Joy has nearly 1,800 videos on her channel to date, okay? You know how tedious it is going through those videos. There is so much, and it's like, you can only imagine. So anyway, I came across this video because apparently it's all about, she learned this about the TMZ story and the sex tape from Dr. Phil. Bear in mind, this video that we're going to listen to was actually done on September the 11th, 2019, okay? Dr. Phil's show was taped in October 17th of 2019. So trying to figure out how this friendship actually started, this is what she said.
Because Lindsay actually reached out to me after someone connected to her shared my coverage of her on my YouTube channel and on my Pathios blog, and she said that she was like really grateful. And so we chatted almost all afternoon, and she's a really, really, really sweet person. I have so many things in the fire right now, and I spent all day actually talking to Lindsie Chrisley, and I have so much in my head right now because I need to sort through all of the things that Lindsay and I talked about today, and I have to figure out how to deliver this to you because I feel like I've learned so much about Todd Chrisley, and I just need to sort through how I'm going to deliver all of this to you in a way that is respectful to the relationship I've now established with Lindsay.
But also, you saw the clip I played in the beginning of this video. she wasn't all about Lindsie Chrisley. That's exactly how she felt about Lindsie Chrisley before she befriended Lindsie Chrisley. And then, in my opinion, she felt, oh no, this is my golden goose. Sorry, Todd, you thought your wife was your golden goose. Well, your wife's golden goose is Lindsie Chrisley, in my opinion. Now then it says, Ms. Paulson, a self-described close personal friend of Lindsie Chrisley, has nonetheless repeated it over and over again. She has touted a friendship with Ms. Chrisley, implying that she possesses inside knowledge of the incident in question. She has even fabricated an interview with an anonymous Chrisley Knows Best crew member corroborating it. Now, that video that she did make, stating that a crew member from Chrisley Knows Best reached out to her and said that he watched or she watched the interview with Lindsie Chrisley on Dr. Phil, and she believes Lindsay. That video of Katie Joy's has now been deleted. So, like you said, Katie Joy, stand tall in your truth and never back down. Why did you delete that video? Just curious. You can actually view that video on EKCPEOPLESUCK's channel. I will link her channel down below. Please go and watch that video if you want to be informed on that specific situation. So you guys, like I said in the beginning, Pork Chop from Twitter, she also actually, exposes Katie Joy for bullshit. She also has a YouTube channel, which I will link down below if you want to go and actually subscribe. Fantastic. The clips that she's come out with and exposes about Katie is like mind-blowing. This video that I'm going to play for you and we're going to go through right now, actually, it's basically self-explanatory, okay? But because I'm going to be playing this video, I don't want to be copyright struck because at this point, you know how Katie Joy is. So what we are going to do is actually go through it, and I'm going to insert myself in certain parts.
Hello, everyone. Well, I ended up getting a little linky in my inbox today for a podcast that hasn't dropped yet. And I got a sneak peek into the latest episode of Coffee and Convos with Kale Lowry and Lindsay Chrisley, and I have some details and some thoughts after hearing Lindsay's story. If anything that I've learned about this woman in the last few weeks is that she is not a liar and she is also not a dramaster unless she needs to defend herself. It all started obviously when her father and mother were her parents were indicted on 12 counts of tax evasion and bank fraud, wire fraud, lying to the federal government. And shortly, actually within days of their indictment, suddenly a police report mysteriously turns up from TMZ. It almost seems like it's kismet, right? And actually, since she had left her Chrisley Knows Best, she hadn't really said a whole lot about her family. She hadn't caused any drama so much with her family. But within days of her parents' arrest, suddenly her biological, and this is how she referred to him, as her biological brother Kyle, is on Facebook basically accusing her and her mother of working with investigators to turn in her father for tax evasion. Interesting when you think about this. It's almost like deflection started immediately with Kyle planting that she was the one that turned in her dad. And she said that she's not going to take responsibility for what she didn't do. She said she'll own up to anything that she's done, but she's not going to take the fall for crap she didn't have any part of. She went on to say that, and I think I've alluded to this, I'm not sure, maybe I knew this already. So many things I know that I can't tell you guys. So in the entire time this indictment covers, she was like barely involved in the life of her parents. And she knew nothing about any of the business dealings. She had no part of any of these companies that he owned. So She says it's almost preposterous for anyone to assume that she would have known anything to turn in anyone about anything. TMZ suddenly gets a hold of a police report. And she says they call her attorney's office and say, we found a police report in Georgia. Do you have a comment? Now, she doesn't say anything more than that, but this got me thinking. How does TMZ know to look for a police report in Georgia for under Lindsay Chrisley's name? How would they know that she even filed a police report? It's almost like someone from the Chrisley camp, either a PR representative or Todd Chrisley, made contact with the outlet and shopped it and told them about the police report, because in the police report, her dad is listed, she's listed, and Chase is listed. The police would have had to make contact with only the people involved in the police report, so therefore only the people in the police report would know that the police report existed, and Lindsay didn't leak the story to TMZ. Somebody from the Chrisley camp obviously tipped TMZ off, i.e. Chase or Todd. Isn't it ironic that as soon as they leak this story, they also have a statement from Todd Chrisley immediately disclosing that his daughter had extramarital affairs with Robbie Hayes and Josh Murray? Isn't that sick? The lengths this father went to, it's unconscionable. He's in the middle of an indictment and his first inkling is not, how am I going to get out of this? How am I going to defend myself? It's, I got to smear my daughter. I got to take the attention off of me, and I'm going to go for my daughter's jugular, and I'm going to make everyone know that she had an affair and there's a tape about her. Everyone was a lot of people were giving Lindsay crap, saying that she brought this into the media. She didn't bring this into the media. Todd or Chase brought it to TMZ. But having to go and relive stuff that happened years ago with your spouse, and then imagine having a little boy that's in the middle of this too, that has a mom's dirty laundry now, is all over the news, and she has to protect him from hearing things about her that her father threw to the media. And this is the same man that claims to be a good Christian and espouses all these, amazing, heartfelt, like, oh, you guys, I'm so inspirational crap on Instagram and on Twitter. And this is what he's doing to his daughter. It's gross. This was my deductive reasoning. But it's interesting that she would put that in there, because I think enough people would put it together. But because I love you guys, I'm putting the puzzle pieces together for you. There are a lot of people that think they know her and are making a lot of accusations about her, and they're calling her all kinds of names now because of the information that her father put out to the media about her. And she's said those are the comments that are the hardest to take, and that for the last couple weeks she feels like her life has been completely wrecked and totally ruined, and it's trying to sort through the mess and realize that it was her family that did this to her, not the other way around. But she wasn't the one that put this out there. So why would you be mad at the person? Why would you call her fame hungry when she was the one that was trying to keep this quiet and do what she was supposed to do behind closed doors? She didn't want it public, but her dad did. Todd Chrisley has literally spent most of the last few weeks blaming everyone but himself. He has blamed his ex-wife. He has blamed Lindsay. He has blamed a former employee. He has blamed former accountants. He has denied any culpability. He says that he is innocent, that nothing happened. And in the midst of all of that, he also is pretending that he's the best father because he saved his son Kyle from a suicide attempt. And by doing so, he brought him back to life because he spoke to him when he was having a hard time breathing. And used a podcast last week to talk about what a great father he was and how there's no possible way he could be a bad father because he loves his kids so much and he loved Kyle so much that he had a private investigator stalk him for years. That's not creepy. I get really protective of people that I become, I don't know, friends with. And I've known a lot of this and I never said any of it. She and I have talked quite a bit about a lot of what's been going on in her life and I've never disclosed it.
Once again, a reminder, this was recorded by Katie Joy on the 11th of September 2019, before Dr. Phil had actually done his interview with Lindsie Chrisley. And this says, exclusive, Lindsie Chrisley talks wrecked life after family leaked police report. Okay, let's move on. Katie Joy covered all the legalities. So Katie Joy actually kept on reporting on the lawsuit of the Chrisleys. And then in July of 2021, a story came out that Kyle Chrisley, Todd's son, had actually ratted them out to the GDOR. And she reported on this with such happiness, you know.
So we still don't know how this will affect the case, if any of these other charges will be dropped, and how that might impact moving forward what happens. But I think what's interesting here is that for 2 years, Todd Chrisley has alleged a conspiracy between his daughter and Joshua Waits, and has said openly that his daughter is the whistleblower. And the federal government says, nope, it was your son that actually turned you in, and it was your son that tipped us off about this warehouse, not your daughter. So I'm sure somewhere today, Lindsay is hopefully feeling a little bit redeemed. So the Chrisleys say that this is all just a big nothing to do here, nothing to see here. The federal government says they have amassed a conspiratorial, like a best-selling book that is completely implausible and that they should not suppress this evidence. But Lindsay was not the whistleblower. So I hope that helps clear things up. And this allegation that Kyle might have been persuaded by Lindsay to tip off the federal government, I'm told, is also false, that she played no role in anything to do with this case. And like I said, if you're not committing crimes and you don't want people to turn you in, don't commit crimes.
Then she did make note of, and to the point, in my opinion, made a mockery because they settled with the IRS. And what came to me was that when she settled, well, she, in her mind, in her little mind, still feels that she won the court case with Tati, okay? But she settled. And the same thing with the Chrisleys. They ended up paying what they needed to pay to the IRS, and then what did she do? She handed over a source, and today she is actually a witness now for the Westbrooks. So, in my opinion, Katie kept on reporting false stories. That there is this blog that's up. So this article is actually from TV shows Ace, and this was on July 8, 2021. And it says, a Chrisley bombshell was just dropped on fans. As it turns out, Lindsay did not report her father, Todd, to the Georgia Department of Revenue. Turns out it was one of her siblings that actually tipped off the Georgia DOR, which we're going to find out is absolutely false. Where did this Chrisley bombshell come from? And if it wasn't Lindsay, which one of Todd's children reported him and his wife Julie to the Georgia DOR, Department of Revenue? And well, it says, Katie Joy spills Chrisley tea all over Instagram. This just got juicy in the Chrisley Knows Best world. As those who have been following the news know, Todd Chrisley has openly accused his estranged daughter Lindsay of reporting him to the Department of Revenue. Lindsay, however, insisted she did not report her father to the Department of Revenue. He, however, continued to publicly drag her for reporting him and Julie Chrisley, taking Todd Chrisley's side, as many fans have dragged Lindsay with nothing kind to say about her. Unfortunately, it sounds like Lindsay Chrisley's name has been dragged through the mud for nothing. Turns out it wasn't even Lindsay who reported her father to the Georgia Department of Revenue. It turns out it was actually one of her siblings that blew the whistle. Which of Todd Chrisley's children reports him? According to Katie Joy of Without a Crystal Ball, it was actually Kyle Chrisley who blew the whistle on his father. During the Georgia Department of Revenue's investigation into tax debt, the department was tipped off by Todd Chrisley's oldest son, Kyle Chrisley. The Department of Revenue testified that in early 2017, Kyle contacted the DOR to aid in the recovery of assets for unpaid taxes, which is false. Katie continued to explain the government also alleges that Kyle tipped them off about offshore bank accounts and potential money laundering. They also alleged that Kyle and his ex-wife notified the DOR about the warehouse, which contained 7 houses worth of furniture. Katie continued to reveal Todd has publicly falsely accused his daughter Lindsay of being the whistleblower and working with the feds. He has routinely accused her of being romantically involved with an investigator in Georgia. Katie Joy concluded her big reveal by reminding fans that Lindsay continued to insist she had absolutely nothing to do with the case against her father. Wow. Wow. This woman is something else, because all that is going to be proven totally false from Todd Chrisley's mouth himself with receipts. Katie Joy reported this on July 8th, 2021. Todd Chrisley, the very next month, like maybe 3 weeks later, he came out with the receipts to say it wasn't Kyle. It was Lindsay was spearheading this whole thing. Lindsay, she recruited her brother and his then girlfriend. And how she managed to recruit her brother, she actually allegedly told her brother, if you want to get your child back from her grandparents, this is what you need to do. So that's how Kyle got and his ex-girlfriend got involved. So Todd Chrisley actually came on his Chrisley confession and he set the record straight, which I'm going to play for you guys. The true story of with receipts of exactly what happened and how Lindsay Chrisley did sell them out to the DOR.
And after finding out, and now Lindsay now knows that we know that she is the one who reached out to the Georgia Department of Revenue and started doing all this participation with them. Now, Lindsay has made a statement on the Dr. Phil show, and she went around and did press in Atlanta with the local news channels there with her attorneys sitting there, who stated Lindsay had no involvement in this tax situation. She had never had any involvement in it. She wasn't working with the government. She wasn't doing anything with it. So, folks, let me read to you a series of text messages that was sent on March the 1st, 2017. Now, keep in mind, Josh Waits drove to Nashville, Tennessee, I think on March the 7th, and served my house manager with documents stating that they were placing a lien for these taxes that were not owed. But it's a text message from Katie Vansel to Josh Waits. Lexi just called me. They're having an auction to pay the IRS. They're trying to raise money to pay the lien off. And then he goes, oh, so he's hiding from them? Folks, this was a warehouse that had furniture in it from 6 years ago. We were acting on advice of our accountant to stop paying all of this storage fees and to have an IRS appraiser, a certified IRS appraiser to come in, appraise all of the items that we were not going to keep, and then auction the rest of them, and then that money could go towards the IRS debt. Now, keep in mind, folks, the Georgia Department of Revenue knew this is what I was doing, but yet they were working with the IRS agent to come up with a plan to prevent me from doing that. Now, that's already come out in court. You know, she's acknowledged that, yes, when our attorney said, so let me understand this, Ms. Vansel. You just stated you received a tip that the Chrisleys were getting ready to auction off a warehouse filled with high-end furnishings to satisfy the IRS debt. Yes. And then you went and seized that warehouse. Yes. So basically, you prevented my client from doing what he was planning to do all along, which was to pay the IRS. And her response was, I mean, I guess you could look at it that way. And my attorney said, thank you, I will. Now, folks, this is in the public transcript, so if you care enough about it, you can go on Pacer and you can pull these transcripts and you can read exactly what these people said. Now, keep in mind that Lexi, Kyle, and Lindsay were giving all of this information to the Georgia Department of Revenue, to Katie Vansel and Josh Waits. Now, in here, Lindsay, it says on March the 7th, 2017 at 6:32 p.m., Lexi just called me very upset. She said Lindsay called Kyle this morning and said there were 5 cop cars circling the house this morning, 2 for Todd, 3 for Julie. Now, folks, this is coming from Lexi to Katie Vansel, who sent this message to Josh Waits. Josh Waits states in writing, wow, drama queen. It was 2 unmarked cars for 2 minutes and no circling. And Katie goes, no lights, disappointing. Because, folks, they wanted this for their headlines. Now, you know, Lindsay has stated that she had nothing to do with this. So I want to read to you the statement that we now have from Josh Waits, because you know how rats turn on each other. This is a statement that Josh Waits gave in the lawsuit that we have against him now. And he states, to the best of the defendant's recollection at this time, the communication by Ms. Campbell involved the situation wherein Ms. Campbell informed the defendant that the Chrisleys had recently entered into a $75 million contract deal. The conversation involved my understanding that the information Ms. Campbell provided had been verified and deemed truthful, and as such, the income Ms. Campbell provided could be used by the Compliance and Audit Division of the Department of Revenue, as well as the IRS, in calculating the taxes owed by the Chrisleys. Now, the question for that was, please explain and identify all facts regarding the statement. So the IRS completed their audit for the criminal side and then turned over the returns to us so we could bill them as well. The feds are pushing it because they are saying the $1 million deals is for real. Identified in Exhibit A, please include an explanation explaining who you communicated with at the federal level to obtain this information. Josh Waits' response is, to the best of the defendant's recollection at this time, this communication with Ms. Campbell involved the situation wherein Ms. Campbell informed the defendant that the Chrisleys had recently entered into a $75 million contract deal. This conversation involved my understanding that the information Ms. Campbell had provided had been verified and deemed truthful, and as such, the income Ms. Campbell provided could be used by the Compliance and Audit Division of the Department of Revenue, as well as the IRS, in calculating the taxes owed by the Chrisleys. The next question, interrogatory number 4. Please explain and identify all facts regarding to the statement. So some stuff happened today. And we have a meeting the first of the year that is super big. Please include an explanation as to what allegedly happened on the date the message was sent and why the meeting was taking place. Now, folks, this was a message that Josh Waits sent to Lindsay. He states that the defendant does not recall making this statement or the context of this statement. Now, he doesn't remember making it. How convenient, because it's in writing. It's in writing. Now, you know, the that shows that Lindsay was the one providing this. But this next one here is what was heartbreaking. Please provide all facts regarding the messages you sent to Lindsie Chrisley Campbell, identified in Exhibit A, during your investigation into the Chrisleys. Please include an explanation for why you sent the messages and identify whether you have ever previously sent text messages to a family member of an individual under investigation by GDOR. Josh Waits' response, now folks, he was the chief of police for the Georgia Department of Revenue, who's now been fired and who is under investigation. Defendant objects to interrogatory number 2 to the extent that it is overly broad and calls for irrelevant information not reasonably calculated to lead to the discovery of admissible evidence, in that communications with individuals regarding other investigations are not relevant to any claim in this matter. Defendant objects further on the grounds that the argument is argumentative and assumes facts that are not true. Without waiving the foregoing objections, the defendant states that he does not recall every detail of each of his communication with Ms. Campbell, but recalls that she initiated the contact with the defendant, offering to assist the Georgia Department of Revenue. The defendant maintained limited communications with Ms. Campbell in an effort to obtain from her information regarding the Chrisleys' residency status, assets, and other information that might assist those with the Georgia Department of Compliance and Audit Division who were conducting an investigation of the Chrisleys' failure to lawfully pay their taxes. He left the show because it was a toxic work environment for Jackson. Lindsay did not quit the show. Lindsay's contract was not renewed, and I had fought for 2 seasons to keep Lindsay on the show because the former executive with Maverick, did not see the need to have Lindsay on the show if Lindsay was not going to allow them in her home, if she wasn't going to allow them to document the day-to-day of her marriage and of her child and what was going on in her life. And they came to me and asked me, can we just reduce Lindsay to an ancillary cast member? And I said, absolutely not. She's my daughter. She's part of the family. I will talk to her about opening up, but you cannot do that. Now, folks, I want to also make sure that everyone's aware that every child of mine was paid the exact same amount. No child gets paid more than the other child. And Julie and I, when this show started, we all sat down with the kids and said, this is how much money is coming in. This is the pot. This is what we suggest we do with it. I, as a parent, Julie as a parent, we're not going to pick and choose who's going to be paid more. We're just going to keep it even straight across the board. And that's what we did. So for people, I think Lindsay has made statements that she found out that Lindsay or Chase and Savannah was making way more money than what she was making. They were making more money because they were filming every day. Lindsay would come in and film an ancillary scene here and there, but was still paid the same thing as if she was working 5 days a week like Chase and Savannah. So that is now off the table because we know what's being paid and how that whole situation happened. And so then there was a situation between Julie, you, and Lindsay. I was sitting in our garage. Now, folks, what I'm getting ready to tell you is backed up by 24 affidavits from people that was in our home, from the crew to the lighting to the audio to the nannies to the assistants and to the APs that was taking taking down the lighting and putting stuff away because we'd had interviews that day or whatever. Lindsay was there in the house, and Lindsay had a social media post that she needed to get posted. Well, Chloe had already been put down to bed by her nanny, who had given an affidavit to this, and all of these affidavits I can make public if that's what needs to happen. We will use those in the depositions coming up, and they will be videoed, so you'll see it then. But with that being said, these affidavits clearly state what happened in our home. Lindsay went upstairs, got Chloe out of bed, had the makeup artist start helping to get her dressed and to fix her hair. so she could take a picture with Chloe for her social media post. I was in the garage minding my own business.
This was every bit of 9:30 at night.
Right.
So, and keep in mind, Chloe has a bedtime of 7:30. That particular day, she had a nosebleed, so she was just not feeling well.
So I'm out in the garage, and Julie comes to me and says, I'm so frustrated. I said, what? She said, Chloe is out of bed because I guess Lindsay needs to take a picture for social media. I said, do what? So I come walking in to find out who the hell got Chloe out of bed. Lindsay comes down the stairs in our kitchen with her bag, and she said, I'm so fucking done with this. I will never do anything for this family again. I'm done with it. And I turned around and I said, who are you talking to? She said, you better get your bitch on a leash. And was standing there talking about Julie. And I said, you better watch your mouth. And so Julia said, Lindsay, I'm just saying, why would you go get her out of bed? And Lindsay says, fuck you, bitch. Fuck you, in her face. Now, folks, this is in all of these affidavits of everyone that heard it. Lindsay's the only one that has a different story to tell about this, in which Lindsay's never told this story. Lindsay's only touched on it and said she left the show. And if you'll go back, because we've documented every statement, our attorneys have documented everything. If you'll go back, Lindsay states there was an altercation between she and Julie. I then said, I looked at Julie and said, if you let her cuss you in your face like this in your home and you don't mop the floor with her ass, that's on you. Now, folks, no parent is supposed to have to be disrespected by their child like that in their home. They're not supposed to have to be disrespected like that, period. So Lindsay never felt threatened or hostile work environment or any of that. Julie was not to blame that Lindsay was the aggressor. That's what these statements say, that Lindsay was the aggressor. And then we find out that Lindsay had partnered with Kyle and Lexi to destroy the family because she wasn't on the show. That's where all this came from. We now know that Lindsay went to Kyle and said, if you want to get custody of Chloe back, I can help you. But here's how we'll do it. Their goal was to cause Julie and I to go to jail, so therefore we wouldn't have, no one would be here to take care of Chloe. And then Chloe, because Kyle's the biological father, the mother's rights had already been terminated. Kyle's rights had not. So their goal was to strip Chloe out of this home and give her back to Kyle. But that was the catalyst and the promise that was used to stoke Kyle along. The goal all along, per the Georgia Department of Revenue, the rats that have now come forward, was that Lindsay's goal was to shut down the show because she had been removed from it. And if she wasn't making any money, the family shouldn't make any money. There is no other narrative. The only other narrative has been self-generated for self-promotion. There is no other truth other than what I'm telling you right now. And we have all of the affidavits, all of the witness statements.
So there you go. The truth in all its glory. First and foremost, please do not go and show hate to anybody. The Chrisleys, Lindsay Chrisley, Katie Joy, nobody. Nobody deserves to be shown hate, as long as the truth has come out. The problem I have is that Katie Joy knows the truth now. She refuses to accept the truth. So she didn't come back and she didn't correct that story that she put out on July 8th on her YouTube channel. It's still up. It's still there, accusing Kyle Chrisley of taking the fall of what Lindsay Chrisley has done. Okay? Secondly, it's so sad that this family has to drag all this out in the public eye. I hope and I pray that this family can come to some kind of resolution. And the best thing, I know Lindsay doesn't see this, maybe she will, because this Katie Joy is like, she's all for her friend. But all I can say to Lindsay Chrisley is that the truth will set you free. Your family is the most important thing. When it comes to Katie Joy, in my opinion, Katie Joy is still the idiot that I think that she is. Because it doesn't take a blind man to see that Lindsay was just using her to get her information, her storyline that she wanted to get out to the public. And at the end of the day, she succeeded. Because this woman still, again, I don't know how many times I can say this, hasn't acknowledged her as a friend to the public, or hasn't claimed her as a friend. And after that live that she did, that was the response that Lindsay Chrisley had given. But anyway, to each their own. But also, you guys, one thing you must also remember is that Lindsay Chrisley has sat for a deposition, but it was in regard to the IRS and the Georgia Department of Revenue. So she was asked if she had been given information or giving information to Katie Joy, and she said no. And secondly, for Katie Joy to keep double downing on the fact that, as she says, and she's put it on her Twitter, he said that she was worth $5,000 to her friend. That investigation is still going on. So if she still wants to feel or put it out there that Todd Chrisley or Chase put it out there, how is she confident enough to say that Lindsay didn't put it out there? Because at this point, the way I see it, she is so far up Lindsay's backside that you can't even see her bootstraps, which is sad, because she's putting in jeopardy her family. She's now being sued by Todd Chrisley. It may not go nowhere, but she's still shelling out money to respond to these lawsuits. So take it as you wish, but Katie Joy needs to start using that little brain of hers. She's not as smart as she thinks she is. And once again, I just wish that Lindsay could just humble herself, get over all her resentment, her hate, her jealousy, in my opinion, of whatever's going on there. And Katie Joy needs to acknowledge the truth. She needs to get off this fake reporting and acknowledge the truth. So you guys, that's it from me. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful weekend. Please be safe out there. Wear your mask, and don't forget, please be kind to one another. Thank you so much for staying for another long video. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.